Yeah.
Thanks for joining me.
No, you're welcome, Tom. And I've been looking forward to this.
Yeah,
It's a great way of getting a message out there, right? And I think,
100%.
if only one word somewhat sticks into someone's brain out of this whole concept that we're doing today, and one person only, one word, one person,
Yeah,
that's more than zero.
yeah.
So I think it's an achievement on its own. Um, but
So,
yeah,
so I want you to continue with what we were talking about on the couch just there. You were talking about your mum and
yeah, I think the whole inner child is the inner conflict.
mm,
That's what I've learned over the last. I'm almost 18 months sober now.
right.
Which is an achievement.
Great,
Someone who
congrats.
someone who drank like a shark,
Yeah,
didn't know how to stop.
mm,
You know, from drinking on the weekends and then gradually moving into Fridays and Saturdays and Mondays and Tuesdays, and then before you know, I'm drinking earlier. Is my drinking time is getting a lot earlier in the day, and then before you know, I drop my daughter to school, and then next week I'm finding people who's coming down the pub with me.
yeah,
By
yeah,
11 a.m. I'll be down Weatherspoon's pub drinking, and then racing to get to my daughter to pick her up from school. So
yeah,
you know, when a drinking gets to a point that it takes over your life,
mm,
your existence becomes smaller and smaller and smaller, and that's what happened. But during the time of me hitting my rock bottom and where I am today, I've learned that inner child is the inner conflict because of everything that we pick up as we're growing up.
mm,
Um, you know, some of us are capable of not making it a problem moving on with life, but then it depends how much of that has happened while you're growing up. And as we were saying earlier, the message I had from my mum yesterday threw me off because as I was growing up, there's things happen that shouldn't have happened, and it kind of you think about it, and then you block things in, and you try not to make it a problem.
mm,
But then now I'm sober, and those things becomes a problem. I want to deal with it and get it out of the way because I think it's important that I do fix that, and that I have a great relationship with my parents, and let them enjoy me while they're still alive.
So what do you mean when you're talking about inner child? What is that for you particularly?
It's 1 minute you're getting punished, next minute you're loved. So love always came after the punishment.
Mm,
So, and if I was too naughty, I don't know, in my mum's eyes, I don't know how much her limits were very short, I suppose, because I remember nights where I get looked outside the house in the dark
right.
because I was naughty,
Mm,
and all of those things hangs around you,
mm, mm,
and there's more to it, but I think we leave some of the stuff for later on as we get comfortable with it, how what think of the audience as well. But yeah, the punishment came before the love, and then straight after the punishment, I wanted to be loved. She wanted to love me, and it never made sense to me.
mm.
It just didn't make sense.
Have you made sense of it now?
Now I do, because now when I first walked into the rooms, right, I was desperate. I was desperate for love.
Mm,
I was desperate for people to show me love. I was
mm,
desperate to people tell me how much they love me. Because one thing in the rooms, right, in the rooms of AA,
yeah.
yeah, the rooms will love you until you learn to love yourself again.
Mm,
I was broken, man.
mm,
I was fucked,
mm,
literally.
mm,
When I walked in, I didn't look like this. I was ruined.
yeah.
So
This was last year.
yeah, this
The first
was
time.
first, yeah, 2024, 18th of August was my first AA meeting.
Yeah.
And it's a great story because on the 16th of August, we went out to a birthday in Hackney
Mm.
with our friends, and we got to 5 points.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
5 points in
Right.
Hackney, and they ordered this food, and it says platter for free,
Mm,
right?
mm,
So, and then there were more people turning up. There was no space for me to actually sit down, and I looked at the platter of free, and I thought that's just enough for me.
right.
So I said to Louisa, "You guys carry on eating. I'm just going to go to the bar and have few beers,
Mm,
right?" Food beers to me, it's it's I can have 20 pints and still go.
Yeah.
Right. I was never a spirit man. I was always a pint man, and started drinking, and because I didn't really eat much, my stomach was pretty empty. But after X amount of pints, I'll just carry on. And we left 5 Points, walking down down Mary Street, and walked into this pub, and walked into that pub, and then we ended up in a pub that's open till 4 a.m. By this time, it's just me and Louisa.
Yeah.
I'm just drinking, and I'm drinking. I was just drinking, and I remember from 4 a.m. walking out of the place, but what I don't remember is how I ended up in a police station. So I woke up Saturday morning and I'm in a police station, right? And I'm thinking, why am I here? Because I'm now shitting myself because I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
What did I do to end up here? Because the blackouts, I didn't know about the blackouts,
Was that a common thing?
Well, blackout fucking nearly killed me a number of times, like seriously killed me a number of times. But I didn't know about the blackout. So when I woke up in a police cell on the Saturday morning, I'm going, why am I here? I said, I need to speak to my partner. No, you can't.
Right.
So when they said you can't, I'm thinking, why can't I speak to my partner? So I managed. So they let me out Saturday with the bail conditions. I can't go near my house. I can't contact Louisa, and that's it. I can't do any of that. So I had to. Where am I going to stay? My parents' house in Leighton. They're in Cyprus at the time.
And the police didn't tell you what had happened?
No. So when I came out, I phoned
that day.
Saturday when I came out, I phoned my friend Brian, who was my drinking partner. I phoned him up and I said, Brian, I need you to phone Louisa and make sure she's okay. I don't know what's happened. So he phones her up, he speaks to her, and apparently while she was driving on the M25, I'm attacking the steering wheel.
Right.
So that, could have killed me and her.
Yeah.
And we got little Jasmine at home. And then when we got to the house...
Did you know why you were doing that? Did you ever figure it out?
No.
Just blackout?
No.
Yeah.
I think Louisa said to me that I was blaming her for cheating on me with other people,
right.
She says, I don't know what happened to you. She says, well, how dare you, talk to me like that, think that I'm cheating on you. She says, you just was out of control on her.
Yeah.
Whatever you drank. I believe that night someone spiked my drink as well. I think someone, because I don't remember drinking that way and behaving the way I did, like an animal, and I wasn't... all of that happened, and then in my head I'm thinking, if something did go wrong, Jasmine, she loves her mum so much that if something happened to us, what would have happened to Jasmine, right? So I got home Saturday, I managed to get home. When I left the the police station, I was still fucking drunk.
Right.
And they gave me a lift to my car that was parked outside my house in Waltham Abbey, right? And I'm thinking, I'm still fucking drunk, mate. How dare you leave me to drive, right? So I didn't drive. I went for a walk because and then they watched me drive away eventually because they weren't going to let me just hang around.
Yeah.
So made it to my parents' house. I went back to sleep. I woke up Sunday, 18th of August, and I'm looking around me and I'm thinking, I've got 3 options here. One is to carry on drinking. 2, stop drinking and get the help. 3, just take myself out. I was just so broken at that moment, because it wasn't just what happened, my actions on that weekend and ended up in a police station. That wasn't the only problem. All the other problems within me, got me to that point of life where if I continue, I'm gonna fucking die anyway, because I was drinking so much that my insides were disappearing.
Sort of that decision, if I carry on, this is going to be me.
Yeah, when I had my blood test a year before that, the doctor said to me, whatever you do, you need to slow down. Your livers are fucked.
So you'd never had that thought before? You never thought, I need to stop, or considered it? It was not until that moment.
I'll be in the pub. Louisa will be sending me messages.
Right,
saying this is what, she'll send me YouTube links, Instagram links about people talking about what effect it's giving you, why are you feeling so depressed, and why you hate yourself so much, and all of these things. And my response to her was, don't you know where I am? Why don't you just fuck off and leave me alone?
Right.
There was no an inch of me thinking about stopping to drink, right? But this Sunday morning when I woke up, I got the bell conditions to my left, I got the the shop across the road, and these thoughts in my head. And luckily I had my friend with me, who I'm very grateful to have him in my life. He's been my friend all my life. And he came to my rescue, and he stayed with me for a month at my parents' house. And he made sure that when I told him that I was either going to kill myself or give up drinking, he said, no, you're not going to kill yourself, you're going to give up drinking, and I'm going to be here with you every day, making sure only thing you drink is a cup of tea. A man who used to say, I don't do hot drinks, is now drinking fucking cups of tea like a alcoholic, one after another.
Yeah. So all your drinking buddies, they're still drinking?
Well, my drinking buddies, some of them are probably still drinking, but I don't think my drinking buddies was as heavy drinkers as me, because
Right.
a point will come in a day that I'll just drop them out and I'll carry on.
Right.
I'll go somewhere else. I'll find people somewhere else.
But now is it the thing where you're still friends with people?
Yeah, so Brian I'm still friends with. Yeah. Every now and then I meet up with him, and he will just have 1 or 2 pints in the pub in a week, or a couple of times, and then he'll go home.
Sure.
Where it's me, I made him drink a lot more than 1 or 2 pints. So I just it was just I was in this place at that moment on the 18th of August that I needed help, right? And then as I turned the back of the bail conditions, the police letters, I see AA, Alcohol Anonymous, and all that stuff, and I thought, do I phone this up? And it's like, I'm not getting to the point, I need help. I was seriously, I was begging for help. On the 18th of August, I was begging for help so much because I didn't trust myself. I didn't know I was going to drink, help, or kill.
Right.
Those 3 was the only options on the table on that morning. I did pick up the phone to AA. I phoned someone, and they said that someone will call you back, and someone did. And for 2 hours, we was on the phone talking, and I was so upset, I was so crying. He said, do you want me to come and see you, and all that stuff? And I said, no, my friend's coming around, and all that. And he says, look, why don't you go to a meeting today? He says, there's a meeting at Beulah Road, he says, in Walthamstow. It's at 7 o'clock. He says, I'll phone you throughout the day to make sure you're okay. He said, let's get you to the meeting today. So I said, okay. I promised him that I will. So I got to Beulah Road at 6 o'clock. Walthamstow Village, how many times I drank in there. I'm thinking, who's going to recognise me now? And they're going to see me walking in there and say, he's an alcoholic, Right. Acceptance of being an alcoholic wasn't on the table for me, I just had a drinking problem, but I wasn't an alcoholic, So went to Beulah Road, driving around, parked up, and where I parked up, I've got a picture of it as well. Next to this AA meeting place, it's a small garden, right, garden place, and it's called Hope Garden, right. So as I turned around, I looked at it and I saw this sign, Hope Garden. I thought, there's a hope here. I thought, okay, all right, Onur, you're in the right place.
It's gonna be all right.
You're gonna be fine, right? So I walked to the door, and people are standing outside. I said, is this the AA meeting? And they're like, yep, this is the AA meeting. And I just burst into tears, and I told them everything about what's happened, and out on a Friday, police cell on a Saturday, Sunday morning, I want to kill myself, right? And I'm here now. And there was one guy, there was no a chair, it was just, people were just sharing, talking, and one guy started talking, and he finished it with, mind your own fucking business. He says, that's what I've learned. Just mind your own business. Don't make their problem your problem. Right. So I thought, okay, I'll take that on board as well. So I've got a hope. I'm going to mind my own business, right? By this time, I felt light in me, It felt good, The hope and everything else, when I started putting things together, it made me feel great about myself. I walked away from there, and I just felt great. And one of the guy turns to me, whatever you do, he goes to me, try and do 1990, just every day, do it as much as you can, make friends, take numbers,
Right.
speak to people, and all that stuff. So by Tuesday, I went to a AA meeting in Leighton High Road. You know, I walked in there, and on the first day I didn't speak. Tuesday I walked in there. It was a massive group. There's at least 50 people in there, and the guy said, we've got time for a quick 2-minute share if anyone wants to share. And I'm like, guys, I said, I need help. I'm fucked. I put my hands up. I'm like, I'm fucked. I need help. Right. And I met one person that Alfredo. He's still my friend today. He's 18 months sober today, and I met him. We swapped numbers. He was the only person I swapped numbers by that time, and we're talking and everything else. And he says to me, tomorrow, he says to me, I'm going to a meeting in Whipps Cross Hospital.
Yeah.
He says, come with me. So I said, okay, yeah. We swapped numbers by then, and we met up. We went to Whipps Cross Hospital, and at the Whipps Cross Hospital, the AA room, it's the long corridor, Junction 6.
Right.
Halfway up the road.
Right.
It's halfway up the corridor.
Yeah.
Right? And when you first come in and you're looking at Junction 6, it feels like it's fucking miles away. Right? So as I'm walking up to it, I'm thinking, that's a long walk from here to there. So this is going to be a long journey. Right? So by the time Wednesday came, I knew that I had the hope. I was going to mind my own business, and I knew it was going to be a long journey because of the walk from the entry to the Junction 6. I just connected all of those together, and I held on to that, and I still do today. Hope, long journey, right? I walked in there, right, and by this time, what I was doing, and I was going into the meetings, and I'm hearing, you got to, there's the 12 steps, and I'm hearing you got to give, yourself to the high power, and, they're talking about God and everything else.
How did you take that initially? Because I know a lot of people struggle with that, especially if they don't believe in God. They find that a bit
I think
weird.
I did struggle with it because I have my own. I'm a great believer in universe.
Sure.
I think universe is a great place.
Yeah.
It's full of energy out there, and
100%,
I think if you whatever you put into universe, it will find its way to find you. Right. So I'm a great believer in universe, but when it comes to believing God and using the word God, it's like I look, straight away I look at my mum and I'm thinking, she believes in God all her life, so where was God to save me when shit was going wrong? So that's my reason. And my dad has never been a religious person. We've never been to the mosque. We never did, with being Turkish Cypriot, I'm supposed to have a Muslim background, but I don't really believe in any kind of religion when it comes to that. But I do believe in universe. And when I start hearing about how, your high power, you've got to give it to your high power, and then you'll be able to, get away from all of this. And I'm thinking, well, I can't do this now. So day 3, I'll come hit the wall. If I don't believe in God,
I know it turns a lot of people off.
Yeah. So, and then I had this guy sitting next to me, and then I said to him, I said, I'm going to struggle here. He goes, look, I struggle too. He goes, your high power is your high power. He goes, my high power, he says, it's love. I give everything to love, he says to me, and I feel happy. He says, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to use, whatever it is. He says, my high power is love. He goes, same way you got hate. He says, remember you got hate? He says, you also got love. So my high power is love. And it's just to me, and the group of people in the room, group of drunks in the room says to me, they're my high power, because if it's not for these people, I wouldn't be able to make it to where I am today. And then I met another guy who's been sober for 33 years,
Right.
Tim, right? He says to me, listen, Onur, I come this far, he says, and I'm an atheist, he says. So don't worry, don't make it a problem.
Sure.
Because if you make it a problem, he says to me, you'll be back out there and you'll probably be fucking dead. So do not make the God problem, just find your own high power. And in time, your high power will find you. But like I said, universe is always, I'm a great believer in universe, and that's always been part of my life. And and I think even Louisa can tell you this, that she's, my connection with my high power being the universe. So sometimes it's fucking scary, because what you ask for, sometimes it fucking happens.
Yeah.
So it's important, we throw something out into the universe and it will find us. So anyway, I'm sitting there and I'm taking notes in my head and I'm going home, and by this time Louisa doesn't want to hear from me.
How long did that take? What was that like, getting back in touch?
So what I was doing is that I was going home and I was writing emails about my experiences each day, a little note to myself,
Right.
And then I was.
You're same with your mate still?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, and I'm writing emails and then sending it to myself on a Ghost account, which I know Louisa has access to as well. So, and I think she read through it, and eventually I said, look, I said, I need to come home. I said, because if I don't come home, I said, I'm on my pink cloud at the moment. I'm going around doing my AA meetings and everything else. I said to her, and I'm trying my hardest to, get rid of this problem that I had. I said, it's illness. I said, it's a disease. I said, I'm trying to fix myself on it. And I said, I promise you, I'm going to make it happen this time, because what happened in the past, I promised so many times.
Yeah.
Right? I said sorry a million times, but I knew this time I wasn't going to say sorry, and I wasn't going to promise. I was just going to do action.
Yeah.
Because no fucking way I was going to go out there and get back home and carry on. I did that so many times, Tom. So many times. I'll go out, get pissed, come home 4 a.m, carry on having my party on my own in the kitchen, and Louisa will come down. She says, "Oh no, you got to get up, take your daughter to school in the morning." I've got to go, but hey, she says, "I don't know how you're doing all of these things. Why are you punishing yourself? What's wrong with you? Please." She begged me. She cried. She used to phone me, telling me, "Please come home to a point. Please come home alive." So after a while, about a month and a half later, I had to get my sister involved to talk to her, and all that stuff, and be the messenger in the middle. And then I made sure she knew that I wasn't drinking anymore, that I was doing my AA meetings, that I have made new friends, and I have made beautiful friends. I have made friends that I can say I love them so much today, and I feel the same love in return. Because it was important as well to build. Because you can walk into rooms of AA, and believe me, you could end up with the wrong crowd of people, because not everybody walks in there who looks for the same results. Some people go in there and they end up walking out and relapsing and never finding the rooms again.
Right.
So it was important that those who continuously relapse and came back and relapse and came back and relapse, I kind of said hello to them and spoke to them while I was at the AA meeting. But outside the AA meeting, I wanted to make sure that I had a strong foundation of people that wanted the same result as me, not just do it for silly reasons. So I made sure of that, and I did make really good friends, and then we are friends today, and we've been friends, and we have been supporting each other, emotionally, mentally, physically, financially, in every possible way. But it's only a little small group of people. There's only 4 of us. But that 4 foundation is a very strong foundation. And I say to everyone out there, if you're trying to give up, because, sometimes people, if you think you haven't got a problem with something, try giving up. And you'll find out if you've got a problem.
There's a lot of people who say, like, I'll just give up. I could give up this weekend, but they don't.
But try giving up, and then you'll find out if you really got a problem or not, right? And these people, it was important for me because I knew, like I said, day 1, I got my hope. Day 2, mind your own business. Day 3, long journey. So I kept those 3 together, and I still do today. And because I wanted a result out of it, I didn't want it to be a waste of time, because I was desperate. You know what I mean? Because like I said, my option was carry on drinking, AA, get help, or take myself out of the picture completely. Right. Those were my 3 options on that 18th of August.
Was drinking always a problem for you? When did it start, and do you remember when it became a problem, or was it always just you were drinking when you were young?
I thought I was only drinking for 3 months.
Yeah.
Badly.
Right.
Release the system, and then Louisa says, I've been trying to tell you to stop drinking for years.
Yeah. Was it before your relationship that you were?
I think so. Like in my 20s, it was fun.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
It was fun. But when I think about my drinking in the 20s, I used to walk around, in clubs with 2 bottles of champagne and a fucking beer bottles in the back of my pocket.
Right.
I didn't drink. I didn't buy 1 drink and drunk all night.
Yeah.
I bought fucking tons of it and drunk all night. Right. And My friends, I look at my friends back then, you know, again, I say sorry to them because I probably made them drink.
Right.
Yeah.
You were the bad one.
I was the bad one. I was the bad one. Absolutely, I was the bad one. And you know, I drank without knowing how to stop every time, even in my 20s.
Yeah, you were drinking for drinking, not drinking to enjoy yourself.
I wasn't drinking because it was a nice flavour. I was just for the
it was the excuse of being out with people to be able to drink as much as you want.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just drink. And even I remember this. I'll never forget this day. It was I was still at school, and my parents were away for a day, so I decided to have a house party at my parents' house.
How old were you?
About 14, 15.
Right.
And you know, my dad's not a heavy drinker, but he's always got a nice bottle of whiskey in the cupboard.
Yeah.
Right. So I remember starting the party and then being woken up by my parents, pooped up blood everywhere because I drank all the fucking whiskey.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So clearly, it was never one sip.
Yeah.
It was always drink to get to that place I wanted to get to.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't want to be. I wasn't drinking to feel good. I was getting to a place that I needed to get to, and I wanted to get there. And that's how I drank. And
do you ever think of like why? Because we were talking before we got on the microphone about like a lot of people talk about it and they use different words, but they always talk about connection. They think they're looking for connection. And like when I was doing all the things that I was doing, I would get jealous of other people who would be out at the pub and they weren't taking drugs or they weren't drinking. And I was like, how can you have such a good time? How can you be having a better time than I am and having a better connection with people and you haven't taken anything?
Yeah.
And I thought about that for years. But why from the first, if you were 14, 15 and there was this house party and you were drinking whiskey?
Yeah, I mean, 14, 15, connection, absolutely connection. Because when I first came to UK, I was 12 years old.
Yeah.
And 12 years old, by the time I started school, I was almost 13. And by this time, my auntie would write on a piece of paper what to get from a shop. I couldn't speak English.
Right.
I didn't know what yes, I didn't know what no meant when I first moved to UK from Cyprus. So I was taken out of a place where I had my utmost freedom, right, to get away from everybody. I would be on my BMX, I'll be out there fucking having my fun in Cyprus, and then I'll come home whenever, you know, I had a good life. And then I'll never forget the day when we came to the UK. We moved into a flat in Mile End, and I'm touching the walls, and there's wallpapers on the walls, and I'm thinking to myself, why is there wallpaper on the wall? You know, at my house in Cyprus, I can just none of this, you know. And I started school, I couldn't speak English, so imagine moving into a school at the age of 12, 13.
Yeah.
All right, you can't speak English. You put together in a group of other students that's supposed to be helping you. I had one friend who spoke a little bit of Turkish. Right, and then my French teacher would try and teach me English during a French lesson because there was similar words in like pantalon and things like that, same in Turkish and in French. So she would try and teach me English words, and then when I started to understand, like by the time I got to sort of towards the end of my 13, getting to 14, I started to understand English quite well, and I realised the people that were supposed to be helping me, they were taking a fucking piss out of me.
Right.
So when they were laughing, I was laughing with them, not knowing what they're laughing at, and then realising that I was laughing at myself because they were laughing at me.
Right.
So you know, so you're growing up with all of these things around you. You know what I mean? It's like fucking being taken away from Cyprus, where you grow up, and the love, you know, you enjoyed being there, and then moving into a country where you couldn't speak English, and then you're young and everything else. I would, you know, because I couldn't speak English, I would get out of school, I would finish school, I would either walk, get on a bus or a bicycle, go to Hackney to factories, and I'll be working. At 14 years old, I'll be working in factories on the overlock machine, buttonhole machine, pressing table. My dad had a factory. So working, and you know, all of those things, you know, I didn't think all of these were a problem, and it had things to do with my drinking and all that stuff. But
it wasn't a problem. It wasn't a problem in Cyprus. In Cyprus,
No.
you were just outside all the time, sunshine, happy.
that's it. I was happy.
Yeah.
Apart
And then you moved to London, which is
apart
grey,
yeah,
miserable.
Yeah, yeah. Apart from when my mum wanted to have a different opinion and do things slightly different, but I was happy. And then that just got taken away from me. And I suppose more I do more I stick around with the AA stuff, and I'm almost 18 months in, and I try to have 2 sponsors, and I didn't like their approach, and I put a stop to it. And I've got a book that I still haven't touched. It's picking up dust. I haven't started any of the steps or anything like that, because like I said, we got the hope. We know it's a long journey. There's no rush. I'm just going around listening with my both ears and taking in things that I connect with.
Yeah.
So more I do this, and I do the 12 steps, because 12 steps are a beautiful thing to do, because it talks, you'll discover so much about the actual deep problems within you when you start doing this step. So
Sure.
I'm looking forward to that. And then I think when I start doing that, we could do a step where we have a podcast and we talk about these steps, because it's important. I think more people talks about it freely without the embarrassment. And that we get this message out there. There is a solution, but the solution has to come from you first. You have to want this. You have to want it. And I want, like I said, it was just 3 options.
Yeah.
More drink, help, or death.
Yeah. So what have you been doing then? If you haven't, because I know different people start on the steps at different points in time.
Yeah.
But you've been 10 months sober. You're doing really well. You're doing
Yeah.
so much better than you were before.
Yeah.
So what are you doing when you're in those meetings? If you can talk about it, what are you working on? What are you talking about?
So in the meetings, it's like I talk a lot about where I was and where I am today. I talk a lot more about recovery than the drinking.
Sure.
I share more about my recovery now, how I feel and where I am. And in my shares, like yesterday's message that I had on my phone about, I had to talk about that because it really did throw me off. That did. And at the moment, I'm going through a stage where I'm trying to fine tune myself to find out what makes me happy, because it's so important that I figure that bit out, what makes me happy, and work on it. Because if I'm not happy, my surrounding is miserable. My happiness plays a big part in my surrounding, and so it is important that I continue the journey that I'm on, and you know what, everything, I don't want to rush anything, because when you rush it, it almost feels like I'm trying to impress people. But if it's in my time, in my terms, my contract, I'm doing it at my pace. I'm only doing it for myself.
Yeah.
If you rush it, you get people where they rush things, and maybe they think about their they want to get back home and whatever it is, or work or whatever it is. But I'm a great believer in one thing: don't rush nothing. Let it go at its own float. But at the same time, work hard. Like if you look at a swan in the lake, they're gliding through the water, but their little feet underneath, moving a million miles an hour.
Sure.
And that's how I look at it. I'm a little swan gliding through the water, but my feet underneath is moving millions of miles an hour, because I want to get there. I really, because it's, your drink is never far away.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's easy to get to. And if you, I believe, I even gone to a point of, to find out if I've done it for the flavour or not, I started drinking 0.0s.
Yeah.
Right?
I know a lot of people who do that. It's really popular now.
It's really popular, right? But not for alcoholics. I promise you.
Yeah.
Not for alcoholics.
It's not your thing.
Because we were in a restaurant, right? And I said, I'll have a 0.0. First one went in like seconds.
Water.
Right?
Yeah.
Seconds it went. Got the second one. I drank that as well. And then I continued to drink these 0.0s to a point where I would get one and drink half and leave half.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm now like, why am I drinking half and leaving the half?
So are you finding now, what are you doing instead of, because I know you're really busy aside from that, but if you were going to the pub all the time, how are you finding what are you doing instead? What are you doing with your
AA,
time?
man.
AA, just AA.
AA, man. Run out the doors.
Yeah.
I run out the doors.
Do you go every day?
3-4 times a week I try to do, because I have to. I can't. You know, it's like it gets to a point in the day that I can't be at home. You know, I need to go.
Sure.
And to put myself in a safe bubble, I go to AA. Go there, connect with people.
Yeah.
You know, it's so important. Connection is so important for me, because and not only connecting with people, is connecting with myself. You know, I'm connecting with myself, and that's so important as well. So yeah, I just run into the AA rooms and do that, which is you know, like in the AA is you know, there are so many intelligent people, you know. And
I find when you meet people in those meetings, same with NA, like you don't quite expect. It's people you'd walk past on the street, you'd never look at them and realise that they've also got a problem.
Yeah.
But there's a sort of like an honesty that's already in the room when you're
absolutely.
there.
And I think that's what, you know, I enjoy life now. I enjoy what I'm doing now. You know, the work, you know, like I was saying earlier, the wreckage that I created during my drinking times. It's like I'll get a letter through the post, especially the ones with the brown envelope.
Right.
You know, those letters used to go into a bin or behind a chair, unopened, right? And that created so much chaos. And when I stopped drinking, started opening these brown envelopes, I'm thinking, fucking hell, how am I going to fix this? You know, how am I going to fix this? How am I going to fix that? How am I going to fix this? And then, you know, at the end of it all, the only way I was going to fix it was to be honest. So I opened the letters, I picked up the phone and phoned these people up. I said to them, guys, I want to start with saying sorry, but I'm now trying to, I'm getting help to give up drinking. I'll go AA meetings every day. I said, I've been to a place where I've been that, you know, it wasn't a nice place to be in, and this is the reasons why. And they were so understanding, right? So anyone out there, right, in that situation, and you start to get the help, pick up the phone to everybody that you owe money to, every brand letter, whatever letter is, speak to the people and tell your honesty, because they will help you. They help me.
Yeah. Did you start being honest right away? I think that's the thing that I had a problem with as well, is honesty, and I've got a big policy of it now, is like be as honest as possible, because I feel like, why am I lying? What am I scared of? You know?
Exactly.
But it was a big problem before. Yeah. Because like day one, was it August 18th?
Shame in it.
19th, yeah. But like,
embarrassment.
Was that just a flip? You're like, I need to do this now.
Yeah. I think I reacted on, because what I did was, when I walked into rooms, I became a man who can't listen, and I have to jump in every conversation,
right,
and talk over you. I became the great listener, and I listened and I took on board. You know, you could hear 10 people and you take a little bit off this one, a little bit off that one, because you connect with those little bits. You can't connect with everything, right? It's impossible to connect with everything people say in the rooms, but the ones you connect with, you take them away. And my honesty came very quick, because, like I said, I'm fucking 47. I haven't got another. If I relapse and I go back out there drinking, I don't think I'm coming back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I had to move very quick.
Yeah.
Although I'm very slow with doing the steps and reading the big book or having a sponsor, that doesn't mean that I'm doing what works for me. You see what I mean? It's important that you do what works for you.
Yeah.
Don't rush it. Just do what works for you. Some people, but I also say there's a different levels of alcoholism. You know,
yeah.
Some we can come off from, you know, not because,
especially when you go in a different room, different
because,
meetings, you find
exactly. Not because we, you know. We all drank alcohol, right? We all drank crazily, but there are different levels we can come off.
Yeah,
and I think for me, what, you know, getting honest from the beginning was important as well, very important, because I had so much on stake.
Yeah,
and I didn't want to, you know, like in my 30s, you know, I've got 2 kids, Rio and Demi, and I was with their mum for like 7 years before she gave birth to my son, and then my daughter, and we were together. You know, I've never wanted to have a life where I grow old somewhere else. You know, I wanted to have a family where I look after my family. I go to work, I come home, I look after my family, and you know, we all grow old under the same roof, and that was taken away from me, and that then, you know, became one of my drinking problems.
So when you had this idea of who you like wanted to be a good father and work and all of that, did that ever come into your mind when you were out at the pub? Did it ever come into your mind that you were quite a different person from who you thought you were, who you thought you wanted to be?
But the thing is, when I was drinking, I didn't see anything as a problem. I wasn't doing anything wrong.
Yeah, because again, it's like it's the hardest addiction people talk about because it's so common. Yeah. Everyone does it. People always say that Britain's got a drinking problem, and that could be true or could not be true depending on what you're talking about. But it is the hardest thing to stop because it's just such a common thing. Like you say, there's a pub on every corner.
There is. I mean, you go to Tesco's. I can tell you how much a 6-pack is before I go. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, as soon as you walk in, it's bang in your face.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But I you know, being in the rooms like the early days, it's although I wanted help, I knew I had a problem. It took me good 2 months because when you introduce yourself, you say Onur alcoholic.
Yeah.
It took me good 2 months before I said I was an alcoholic. I was determined that I was not an alcoholic because I was clean. I wasn't on a bench park. I wasn't hiding my beer in a brown bag, and was working.
Yeah, it's such a stigma around what an alcoholic is.
Yeah, you know, I've had, you know, I didn't lose my license, and you know, I knew I was losing my family, and you know, but I didn't lose, like, towards the end I was losing all the time I was drinking.
Yeah.
You know, never got done for drink driving, never got done for anything, you know. I was never sit on the park bench, so I didn't think that I was an alcoholic.
Was that because of the meetings? Was it like, did you meet people who were you probably met people who were much worse off than you were much better than you were? So realizing that it's just a scale and you're somewhere along that.
Exactly, because there are people in the rooms that you know, sleeping rough in the streets, and you know, all of that stuff. You know, there's different levels of people where they got off from the lift, but we all drank the same thing. Yeah. But we just got off on a different lift. And I thought, you know, I was not an alcoholic because no brown bag, no park benches. I got a job, I got a home, I pay my bills. I was okay. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It was not a problem.
You were saying before as well, you were saying that some people don't come back. You go to a meeting and someone's died or someone's relapsed. And how does that affect, especially when you get comfortable with the community and people that you're seeing all the time? You're talking about this group that you have, and it sounds like it's probably the people from different groups that you've got particularly close with. But how does that affect the group? Does that affect other people when someone doesn't come back or someone's relapsed and suddenly there's no shoulder to lean on?
Yeah, because you know, when someone doesn't come back, you start thinking, you know, is that, you know,
are they better or is that them?
You don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know, and then you go to a meeting and you hear so and so passed away. Yeah. So and so passed away. You know, you don't know what they do when they don't come back. But 9 out of 10, they are out there, back out there, and they feel embarrassed to come back sometimes. Yeah. You know, and you shouldn't. You know, sometimes people go, you know, they've been sober for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, and then they have a relapse. They go out there, and
people do it after 30 years,
and they feel embarrassed to come back. And one thing I say to those people, that if you do have a relapse after X amount of years, be grateful for the years that you had, and use that to bring yourself back again, because the rooms of AA will love you until you learn to love yourself. And I promise you, that is true to every word, because that's what I had. That's what I got given. And that's, you know, I walk in there and I get cuddles from people that I've made friends with in the rooms of AA. They will love you. They will take care of you, you know. But sometimes when people leave, they find it hard to get back off self-ego, you know, shame and all that stuff. Don't let that be a problem. If you've gone out there and you want to come back. Yeah. Because coming back is a better option all day long, because it will take you, man. It's a disease that will take you slowly, but it will take you.
I feel like even though you told me again before we were on the microphone here, you were talking about how you'd go to East Vintage and you'd be drinking and drunk first thing in the morning.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
I mean, see, the good thing is, it's like I can always reference everything I say because I have a proof of it with the
Witnesses.
Witnesses.
Yeah.
People that I work with.
Yeah.
You know, I got people that I still work with today on every event that we do from the first event we started, and they can tell you how much of a problem it was. You know, they knew that I had a bit too many
which I feel like
unreasonable hours.
Yeah,
you know,
I feel like it's good that you built yourself that community because you now got that, and the people there are absolutely lovely.
Absolutely. If I need a reminder, those people are never too far away to remind me where I was. And it's I mean, it almost felt like that. Not knowingly, I built a stage for myself to actually drink and drink for free. And drink as much as I want.
Yeah. Was it just you? Were there people, like, when you get that drunk in the morning, were there people drinking with you? Was it just an excuse for yourself? Was there anyone else?
No, because I was running the bar.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I was the showman. You know, it was my show. It was my event. I've got to run the bar.
Yeah.
And I've got to run the door. And I've got to, help do. You know, it was like I've had every excuse to drink, and I'm like, you know, I'm pouring someone a pint, I'm topping myself up. I'm pouring someone a pint, I'm topping myself up.
Yeah.
You know, I thought I was doing good, man.
Yeah.
Do you know, not an inch of me at that time. When I look back now, right, not an inch of me thought that I was doing something wrong. Seriously, I really thought I was doing nothing wrong. I thought, this is it. I arrived. I'm here. Right?
Now there's no bar at the events anymore.
No,
it's just coffee, right?
Just coffee, and we're looking to introduce healthy drinks. And even with the mulled wine during Christmas, we had a non-alcoholic mulled wine, and I had it right behind me, behind me at the entries, so that, you know, if people wanted to ask me why, I could tell them, and that allowed me to speak to a number of young people. They try and say, you know, it's 3 months I stopped drinking. It's good to know that there's a non-alcoholic mulled wine here. They're like, are you doing AA meetings? And I'm like, yeah, we are as well. And you know, it's being able to connect with the younger generation
100%.
because you know, there's no time to when you should stop drinking or when you should start drinking, right? There is no time limit, and they promise you, just because you're 20 and you walked into the rooms of AA, you want to give up drinking. Doesn't matter if you drunk for fucking 1 year. It doesn't matter if you drunk for 10 days. It's how you drink when you drink is the problem. If you can drink one and walk out the door, you ain't got a problem. But if you drink one and then you're shutting the pub for locking, and then you're looking for a house party after, then there's a problem. And so it's not how long you drunk, it's how you drink when you drink.
Yeah. I think it's the thing with, like, the younger generation as well, that a lot of people, it's like it's the first generation is it Z? I can't remember. The younger generation is not drinking as much as the previous generation, so I imagine that helps as well.
Yes,
it's creating a healthy culture because people are starting to realise it's like alcohol is like having a problem with sales because younger generation is not picking up on it.
Pubs will be closing down. You know, pubs will be closing down left, right, and centre because younger generation isn't drinking as much, you know, and which is a good thing. But then the younger generation is growing up with a digital world.
They got a different addiction.
They got a different addiction. You know, there's addiction doesn't have to be alcohol. There's different addictions in different ways. I mean, I have this conversation all the time because of what we do. I say to, you know, you guys are so unlucky. Why? I say, I come from an analog world. I said, you come from a digital world. Do you want to know what I used to do in an analog world? I say, I used to write love letters, right? Now I just send emojis. I said, there's the difference. You know, I used to spend hours writing, reading, deleting, rewriting, making sure everything I wanted to get out there was okay. I said, I used to have a number for the phone box to the phone box near my girlfriend, and we'll have a time slot where we have to be at the phone boxes. So I had to go and nick money out of my parents' pocket, loose change, right? 14, 15, right? And go to the phone box and phone my girlfriend that she'll be waiting for and a phone box near hers. You know, that's you know, we went out there and made our own toys, you know, analog worlds.
It's what people are saying about the younger. The part of the reason that they think they're not drinking is because people aren't going out, because they're not seeing people. There's nowhere else to go, so everybody's just texting their friends. It's the thing of like, you see it all the time when you're out in town. It's like there'll be like a group. It doesn't matter, boys or girls, and they're all texting each other instead of speaking to each other, and they're quite literally right next to each other, but they're all texting each other instead. So not going to the pub and not drinking, but what's replaced it? Have you found that, like, because I think that's one of the things people talk about in NA and AA. Is what comes after
connection.
Like they find that there's addictions, and I think you used the word tendencies at one point. There's tendencies that you find that are addictive in other parts of your life. So like, have you found that that's the case? I mean, you talked about lying, and that was a big thing.
Yes.
But coming out of it, it's like, oh no, you think you're going to be good at first. You're like, once I stop the drinking, it's all going to be fine. It's like, no. Now you've just unveiled all of the other problems that you had.
So I stopped the drink. Now all I got is me. Now I got me.
Yeah.
Now I've got to figure out why am I different.
Yeah.
You know, what made me different, and it's like, you know, I've always been a great believer in one thing, and building something to share with people, connecting with people. I love sharing, and I love connection, and it's so important for me. Even when I was drinking, you know, everything I did was to build something to connect with people and build a concept that we can share. And you know, so because of my fashion background, I wanted to do something. My son was at a college, Wolford Forest College, and he was studying electrics, and they just couldn't find him apprenticeship afterwards to continue, right? So I thought to myself, why don't I take a real life work experience to the college, right? They got the sewing machines, they got the cutting tables, they got the teachers, they got the fabric, they got the cameras, they got everything you need to make a trousers, let's just say, right? So I thought, I'll put a proposal together, I'll go to college, and I'll say, I want to come to the college and do a real life work experience with the fashion students, with the media students, right? And bring it all together, right?
Was this recently, or when was this?
This was in 2023. I was still drinking back then. I was still drinking, but while I was still drinking, I was still wanting to do these things, you know. I want to do the nice things. I wanted to do things that were different than I think to a normal. Someone, you know, not everybody thinks the way you think or the way I think. We all think different. Yeah. And so I went to the college, had a meeting, and a couple of people loved the idea. And then we was about to start, and then one of the teachers threw the spans in and said, this can't work. You can't just come here and use us students to do this and that and everything else. I said, hold on, who said about using students? I'm coming here to pass a knowledge on. Yeah. And we'll make something.
Practical experience. Yeah.
So when we did start, I did do 2 programs with them. Right. And in that time, I was trying so hard to make some changes within the curriculum, right? And they were like, you can't walk in here and change curriculum, you know. And I'm thinking, why not? Because you students are coming here, and I'm talking to them, not being a teacher. They are more open to me. They don't like you. They don't like you. They don't like you, right? They don't like what they're doing, and they enjoy more of what we're doing together, right? I'm taking them to factories, showing them factories, and, you know, so we started doing this project where we do sustainable fashion. Right. So we went to there's a denim factory in Blackers Road Ateliers, Turkish guy. I went to him and I said to him, listen, I need all your off-cut denim pieces. So took his all off-cut denim pieces, and we went to college. I started teaching the kids how to use sewing machine by putting pieces together. And I said to him, listen, I said, just remember one thing. Yes, sir. You cannot make any mistakes, right? Because we can unstitch what we stitched and do it again. And I said, sometimes mistakes looks better. So straight away, I took that away from them. They were more comfortable. They were. We did stuff. We did a fashion show at the college, and, you know, went back and done all that. You know, it was nice, but sometimes I would walk to college and I'm thinking, I hope they don't smell alcohol on me. I hope they don't smell alcohol on me. You know, the embarrassment, you know. I just couldn't do nothing without having to have a drink.
Was that what just because what was that down to? Was that anxiety? Was that just habit?
Man, it got to the point that if I didn't have a drink, my stomach was killing me.
Right.
You know, I got to that stage.
Mm.
My stomach pains were so bad
Mm.
that as soon as I grabbed that pint glass and took one sip,
Yeah.
it went away.
I think it's one of the only. I think it's one of the only
Right.
addictions, maybe along with like heroin, where if you cut it, sometimes it can kill people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I had to drink. Like I said, my drinking hours became earlier and earlier and earlier
Yeah.
in the day.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? At 3 o'clock, my daughter comes out of school at 3:15. At 3:14, I'm running to the school. Just from the pub. You know?
Do you notice the difference with your kids now when you see them, when you have because you're talking about relationships and connection? Is that better? I imagine, because kids kids just sponge
absolutely.
things. You think you're hiding it and you're not. They know.
Absolutely. I get a kiss and cuddle from Jasmine every day. It's when I'm going to AA meeting. She says, "Are you going to AA meeting, Dad?" Yeah. You know, she doesn't have to listen to her mum on the phone begging me to come home early and you know, being upset, and you know, there's a lot of things that's changed in the house.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of things that changed with my older kids as well. We have an amazing relationship, and they're more happier, and they're like, "Dad, please keep this up." You know, I took my son to when he turned 18. I took him to the pub. I thought, "Yeah, you're 18 now. You can have a drink." He had one half Jack Daniels, and he said, "Dad, I don't want it." I looked at him and I thought, "What?"
Yeah.
Right. So anyway, I dropped him home and I went and celebrated his birthday on my own.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I mean, drinking. And
was it a thing with your parents, with your dad? Because you said he always had a bottle of whiskey in the house. No.
My dad's not an alcoholic at all. He can the bottle can sit there for years and years. If he gets friends round, they'll open it, have a glass or two, or drink a bottle, and then, you know, between 2-3 of them, and then that's it.
Yeah.
You know. And
so why do you think it was your thing then? Because if it didn't come from your parents, and you know, you talked about coming here and that big change, but like, why was it your thing in the first place?
That I'm gonna find out as well.
Yeah.
That I'm gonna. I think, you know, like I said, the inner child is the inner conflict. So as I move forward, we'll discover exactly, which I'm desperate to discover myself as well, because there's loads of things.
It doesn't all make sense yet. There's still things to be figured out.
There's still pieces that I need to put together and for it to make clear sense. But I think one of the reasons that I drank was to connect with people and myself. And I think every time because although I had to go East Vintage running, right, and the vision I had for going East Vintage was that I've gone 20 years ahead and I'm now working backwards because I know where I'm going to be. So when I connected with myself, I was be able to talk about these things. You know, my 20-year vision is so far, I've gone so far forward. I know where I want this to be, but physically, I knew that I wasn't doing the right things, but mentally I knew where I was, and I think I connected with myself in a way that it allowed me to connect with myself. You know, so it's there's still things that needs to be put together, but inner child connection, you know, there's multiple reasons. There's multiple, and then in my 30s, you know, like I said, my intention was never to have a broken home. So when it all first went wrong, I wasn't able to see my kids, and that didn't go down well. And then when I started having my kids, and I would drop them off on a Sunday, and then I'll be down a pub straight after. You know, I mean, there's the pain, the hate, the love, so much as, you know, you put together, and it's been, you know, life. You know, I'm 47 years old, and I'm going to be 48 in April, and I lived every second of 47 years of my life until till today. So I've gone through all of those days myself, and I'm the only one who's lived those days. And I know, you know, what was good, what was bad. So it's, you know, it's about how much you want to find out, and it's about having the time to find out, to rewind back in life, because life now is so busy that you don't really have time to sort of think about everything. You have to prioritize what's next instead of trying to, you know, I don't, you know, because it's not about the end result, is it? It's about the journey, and I think the journey is so important that along the journey, you know, there's so much more. You know, as life gets more comfortable, there's more. I want to explore things in a different way that can give me more answers here and more answers there, and you know, all of that stuff. So it's important that the journey is not rushed, because if you rush it, you're not going to get the same result. And yeah, I think sometimes when I think of myself and things I did and things I want to do and where I want to go, maybe drinking took me there. You know, it made me feel like that I was there. And now I'm sober, I'm working towards it now. Most of it's like I said to Louisa yesterday, where I've been at the printer shop the last few days, getting banners and flyers and all that stuff made up. I said to her, I'm getting a stamp made. I said, this stamp will have we'll be able to adjust the dates on it manually. Right. It'll have a QR code. I said, but around it, I said to her, it will say, love can only grow. She says, Honor, she says, you used to speak about this when you was drunk. I said, there you go. I said, now it's time to action. She says, because I believe love is so important. I think we all want to be loved, and it is very important. It plays a big part in everyone's life. You know, not being, you know, if you're lonely and you're not loved, you're in a trouble. Yeah.
Was that part of the reason, do you think, initially? With loneliness.
Loneliness, and not feeling love. You know.
You spoke a bit about your mum and sort of reconnecting with her now, and that's still that
plays a big part.
And then you're still working on that bit.
That bit there is, and I'll never share that with my mum because she's almost 70, and she loves me so much, and she still says these words, and these are amends that I need to make with myself. These are the resentments that I need to deal with myself, and not physically share that with my mum, and be able to allow my mum to love me, and not think about that anymore, because sometimes where you grow up can affect your kids, because you end up behaving in a way that to you it was normal, because that's how you grow up. That was normal. So that bit there needs a lot of work done. And but like we said, day 3, I knew it was going to be a long journey. So I'm not in a race. I'm not running anymore. I'm not running. I'm not chasing. I'm just doing what needs to happen next. You know, if I continued drinking, would I be sitting here today? I would have never met you, Tom. No. Do you see what I mean? Yeah. So I think it's important that one action, what it did, and what it could happen next. Yeah.
It's interesting that you started Go East Vintage, because ever since I've known you, you've been so passionate about that, and you're always really excited. You're one of the few people I know who's very, very excited about something they're doing, because they're doing what they love. And it's nice that you've got that community there, because you've kind of put in place the thing that you need now. Yeah. But are you finding that you've got, like, have you taken the energy and time that you're putting into drinking? Is that changed? Is that converted into other stuff and working on the East Vintage? And
now I'm a workaholic. Yeah. You know, now,
you gotta be careful that it doesn't turn into.
Exactly.
I feel like that's the thing.
Because that can be dangerous.
Yeah. You can just flip the addiction into something else. The big thing is like now people are talking about workoutaholics. It's people who go to the gym because they're like, right, I'm not going to drink anymore. I'm not going to take drugs anymore. I'm going to get healthy. And then they do that, and they do it too much to the point where they hurt themselves. Yeah. So you can literally get addicted to anything and hurt yourself in another way. Yeah. So it's careful to.
Exactly, because it's it's about figuring out what you want in life. You know, it's so important that your needs and your wants in life, it's black and white in front of you. Yeah. And you know that. And then it's about waking up every morning and actioning the actions. And I think if I didn't do what I'm doing today, and if I didn't wake up every morning to action the actions and just sat there and did nothing, I would have relapsed and gone down the pub and drunk again. Yeah. Right? Because I'm just sitting there. I'm now sober. I've got all these emotions in me, and I've got all these things in my head, and I've got no one to talk to. Yeah. I'm not doing nothing. I'm not challenging myself. I ain't doing nothing. It would have all gone wrong. But what I do today is that sometimes it's fucking difficult to get out of bed, Tom.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
Sometimes I wake up out of nowhere, someone's turned the lights out on me.
Mm.
You know, the lights are out.
Mm.
You know, I have those moments,
Mm.
right? It's not easy trying to give up an addiction and to deal with the wreckage from the past, trying to build a future based on your vision, and in the middle of all of this, you've got to remember it's you doing it.
Mm. Mm.
And sometimes I find it struggle. It's like this morning, I went, took my daughter to school. I came home, and I thought I've got to be at Tom's today at 12 o'clock. I want to get up, have a shower, have something to eat, get ready. I didn't want to practice because I don't want to. This conversation it's not based on practice.
No,
it's not a fucking script.
And we've talked about it a couple of times before.
Exactly, and I thought, you know, I want to be ready for this, and I want to get up and go and do things. And then I get days where I do take my daughter to school. I come back and I've got my laptop sitting in my own office in the house, and I know how much work I've got to do, and I just cannot take myself to that space to be able to do that. And you know, I have to push myself, and I have to, you know, say, come on, Onur, you're strong, you can do this. You know, all of those things I have to do it daily to actually be able to push myself forward, because you can end up in that fucking dark place, and sometimes it's like you don't even know why you're there. It's you know, I even went to a point of going to see a doctor's to get depression tablets, and and I did. I went and got them, and I came home and I said, "Come on, Onur, you're stronger than this. You don't need these tablets." And I've not touched them, right? And I don't want to. I want to get to a point in life where I don't know. It's going to take me 1 day, 1 year, 10 years. I don't know how it's going to take me, but I want to get to a point in life where I can be a normal person.
Yeah. I want to ask you, I'm going to pop to the toilet real quick. I'm going to ask you about that experience the last 10 months.
Drinks and drugs, your emotions becomes laughter as you laugh about things instead of crying about it. Really, you should cry. Instead, you're laughing. Yeah. And that's you know, it's important. You know, I say it in a way. Now I look at it as that if I want to go for piss, if I want to go for shit, sorry guys,
it's not the radio. You're fine.
I'll go to piss, I'll go to shit.
Yeah.
Right? I let them out. So if I got a tears that's coming, I'm letting them out. You know, you feel so much good when the tears, when you know you've got tears coming, and you let them out. Yeah. It only makes you stronger. Your vulnerability will make you stronger. And this woman, Yasmin, she has gone through hell in her life, and she's been sober coming up to 3 years now, and she said to me, "Oh no," she says to me, "your vulnerability will make you stronger." And the best thing that I could have heard at that time was my early days. It was the first New Year's Eve, and we were around the friend's house, and Sabina, she's been a rock. She's been the rock from the day one I met her to today. She's been my rock during my recovery. And we was around their house, and we were talking around the table, and like emotional questions, and when it came to my turn to speak, I started crying, and it was probably the first time I cried in front of fucking 10 people. And Yasmin turned and said, "Keep it up. Yeah. Don't block your emotions. Do not block your emotions. Keep them tears coming. They will make you stronger." And it bloody has made me stronger. Yeah. You know, I don't, you know, something that I used to feel embarrassed of. I thought, I'm a man. I shouldn't be crying. But now I know real man cries. I was talking about this the other day with someone, and they were talking about how they connected, and I think a lot of people do, they connect vulnerability with weakness. And I was like, no, vulnerability is not weakness. No. You want to be as vulnerable as you can be with the closest people to you that you love. Yeah. Because if you can't have that, then you will never be as close to them as you could be. Yes, absolutely. And Sabina, she says to me, "I love you for that, brother. You're so real." She says, "You are so fucking real." Yeah. And you know, we like she's got two sisters, not have a brother, and she looks at me as that the brother she's never had. And I've got two sisters, and I've never had that great relationship with my sisters. But with Sabina, I'm that gap. I'm filling that gap with Sabina. We're building that gap, and it's so important to have those relationships. So important. You don't, because when we both know when you're doing your drugs and your drinks and all that, when you're doing anything that is mind altering, you're blocking things. You're changing the way you're thinking, and the things that are problems, it becomes not a problem anymore, and that lifestyle becomes normal, right? But when you step away from all of that and you end up with yourself only, now it's time to figure out everything that plays a big part in you, in every second of your day that you breathe. And for me, I always want to say it's about me, because I don't ever want to say this is what everyone should do. I think that people need to do what works for them. But for me, honesty, tears, and love, connection, I try to connect all of those together every day. Every day I want to connect those four of them together, because it is very important. If someone needs my help, I want to be able to say yes. And then, but at the same time, I know now I know I need to have boundaries, because some people can take the piss out of your kindness.
Sure.
So I'm now working on boundaries as well. Putting up boundaries is so important. But how is the last, since I stopped drinking? The first month was was tough, very tough. But then when it's like us, my teenage years, I loved smoking weed, right? I loved smoking weed in my teenage years, and we got to the point that I was smoking it. Back then, £20 will get you 3.5.
Right.
So I was smoking 20 quid a day. I'd make sure I woke up in the morning and there was a spliff sitting on the ashtray.
Sure. So was that a communal thing, or was that just a you thing?
That was just me thing.
Yeah.
So I will wake, I'll make sure I had half a spliff waiting for me in the ashtray in the morning.
Wake and bake, yeah.
And then I'll smoke that. I'll go work, and I won't have nothing at work. I'll come home and I'll smoke again. And I did that for many years, and then when you smoke it for so much, you think you're not getting the same buzz from it. So I started using Thai weed as a tobacco with my skunk.
Right.
And then so now I'm smoking spliff, pure, fucking no tobacco in it.
Yeah.
It got to the point that at this time I was still with Angela. Ria was born. I carried on smoking through when Ria was born, and I'll go home from work. I've got this little tent, right? I go in the garden, I pull the tent over my head, and I'm in there smoking. And my daughter Demi was born, and one day I went home, got in the tent, smoked my weed, come out, sat on the sofa watching Stenders. My son's sitting on top of me on my chest, and my daughter at the time wasn't walking, and she was still crawling around. And I'm watching Stanley, and I caught her in my eye. She's pulled herself up next to her mum, and she's trying to take a step towards me. That moment, right? It was hard to explain that moment, because as soon as I saw that, I got up, I put Ria on the side, I went to the bathroom, I washed my face, brushed my teeth, everything I had in my pocket, I put it down the fucking toilet, I flashed the toilet, I came back, I picked my daughter up, and I said, for you, I'm giving up smoking, right? And I did. 6 months, right, Tom, I could not stay awake to watch Stenders, right? And I loved watching Stenders, For 6 months, right, I was cold turkey. I couldn't stay awake past certain time, stomach pains, all that stuff. And now I got rid of that problem.
Yeah.
And
well, you carried on drinking at that time.
Okay, drinking.
Sure.
Drinking. I would drink.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
And you never connected that. You give up smoking, but drinking was a completely different.
Yeah, drinking was different.
Didn't even occur
because, back then, I wasn't drinking every day. But when I drank, I drank. You know what I mean? But it wasn't an everyday drinking. Everyday drinking came around as the years went on. But the drinking wasn't a problem. I didn't see drinking as a problem.
Right.
It was never a problem. It was just everything else was a problem. But yeah, I gave up, and you know, she's now 20 years old, and you know, even if I was to have a pull or two from someone's spliff, it doesn't make me want to go and buy a £20 bag and go and smoke. But if I have a sip of a fucking drink, I'm gonna shut the pub down, have a lock in, and then have a house party. Do you know what I mean? That's the difference between that and that.
Do you find now, it's the people, places and things thing, can you be around the pub, or do you just avoid it?
Yeah. I mean, the early days we're doing events at Walthamstow Trades Hall.
Yeah.
Right, that was the only place, like, my drinking from doing events at Patchworks monthly, and then that went down the hill because they would change the space around. We couldn't do it there. Working with Walthamstow Town Hall, doing events outside Fellowship Square. Massive 5-year plan, and we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. So everything was going good until the end of 2023, when everything changed and my drinking got even more heavier. And what happened was, beginning of 2023, everything went fucking, you know, I woke up towards the end of 2023, and towards the end of 2023 I woke up, and what happened was, I was at Trades Hall, drinking, getting drunk and chatting to these girls, not realising these two girls that I was chatting to, they were the managers of the Trades Hall. And I was like, I'm going to Vintage, I do vintage events, we should do something here.
Sure.
And she says, yeah, why not? So,
Yeah.
So lucky I remembered that conversation when I woke up the next
Didn't
day.
Black out that time.
And I said to Louisa, I said, listen, I was at Trades Hall last night getting pissed and having a conversation with the managers, and you know, we talked about doing events there. Because by this time, very little was happening. We were doing one event at, with Hackney Brewery a month, and no town hall, nowhere else. And we did a bit of work with East Village and all that stuff. And so we started doing events at the Trades Hall, and it was during the time I'm stopping drinking. So I'm now doing events. I'm walking through the doors, right? Imagine you walk into a Walthamstow Trades Hall, right? It's got, you know, it still looks like from 1970s. It's still got the carpet that it's had for 50 years. The alcohol it smells is throbbing out of it, and, you know what I mean? And then people had been drinking in there all night, the night before, on a Saturday night. And I walk in there Sunday morning at fucking 7 a.m. And all that drink smell and everything else. So it was very challenging at the beginning, because I was still surrounded with the alcohol, the pub, you know, all of that on my event days. And it was very challenging, but at the same time it made me stronger, because I was so determined, right? And I used to say to the people behind the bar when they're working, when they open the bar, I say, listen, if I ever come to a bar and I ask you a fucking pint of fucking Stella or an Amstel or whatever it is, man, I said, do not fucking serve me, right? I'm working on giving up drinking. I have stopped. I haven't had a drink for a month. I said, I don't want to know, right? So they knew not to pour me a drink, right? And one of the ladies says, you know, just try pineapple with bitter lemon. It's really nice. So I started drinking pineapple with bitter lemon, but not in a normal glass. I wanted it in a pint glass.
Right.
I was saying it's the closest I'm going to get holding a pint.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? So see how your brain still plays tricks on you. You know what I mean? It's like with these little things. So there I am, walking in, smell of fucking alcohol, whoosh, hitting me, and I'm thinking, come on. There's been times where I thought, I'm all right now. Maybe I'll just have a pint and I'll be all right. I won't have more. I know where it takes me now. I've learnt myself now. And I'm thinking, no, don't, do not fucking attempt to take one, because from past experience, one ends up being a fucking lock-in.
Yeah, it's the thing when you haven't had any.
So
a hit, whatever, a drink. You're like, I'm fine, but you've done it enough times to know if you have a sip, that's going to be you for the night. You just change, you turn.
Yeah, or days or weeks or months.
That's impressive though, because I know a lot of people, I guess a lot of people, they don't, they'll go out after work to the pub, but not many people work in that space where they have to be around it immediately afterwards. It's usually a thing where you need to take some time off.
Yeah.
So the fact that you can be around that and around people, I think it makes you stronger.
Yeah,
because
it did.
being
It
able to
really
be
did.
around and spend time and
Yeah.
connect with people
Yeah.
in a way that you used to connect with them
Yeah,
when
yeah.
you were drunk, and being
Yeah.
able to do that and be like, no, I'm all right. I'll be here. I'll be chatting. I'll be having a nice time.
Yeah,
But you go for it.
absolutely, and that's exactly what I'm doing now. Is that, you know, I love it on our event days. You know, being at the door and, you know, saying hello to 2,000
Yeah,
people.
you got the best time. You're out there.
You know,
You look like you're having a better time than anyone else.
yeah, it's like having the little banters and having the little jokes,
Yeah.
and, you know, just creating that little moments with people to walk away and think about something.
Yeah.
So important, and I think, you know, especially when someone walks in and they look a bit miserable, I'm going to make sure that by the time you walk past me, you've got a smile on your face. And it is, and it was very challenging at the early days, because I was surrounded by the smell of alcohol, and I was surrounded with a bar. I was surrounded with people standing next to me drinking, and you know, and you know, you're white knuckling it now. Do you know what I mean? I am, because like I said from the beginning, that I was not going to say sorry to Louisa. You know, it wasn't about saying sorry, because I know from the past sorries that I said that, you know,
Doesn't mean anything.
Didn't mean nothing. So you know, and still I haven't said sorry to Louisa today about everything that I did during my drinking times, because actions are far more bigger than the word sorry. So it was very important for me that my actions. So firstly, I didn't want to let Louisa down again, but most importantly, you know, when I realized that I was doing this for myself, because at the beginning I thought, I'll do this, you know, let Louisa see that I'm doing this and get back home, and then I can get back to drinking again. You know, that thoughts did go past my head.
Sure.
You know, every time I went to AA meeting, I'm thinking, you know, I'll do these things and, you know, show that I'm doing something, you know, get back home, brush everything on the carpet, and then be down the pub. All of those. But then when you start doing it and meeting people, and it changed, and I'm glad it did change, because now it's all about me. Now it's about me. It is all about me. I'm sorry, this is not being selfish, but if I make it all about me and I become a better person, then it's all about you too. Do you know what I mean? That I can now share. So it's not. It's you got to be selfish sometimes, but in the right way, in the right moment.
Yeah.
You know, and it's so important that I quickly turned it around. Being me, I want to be a better person. I want to be a healthier person.
Yeah.
I want to live longer.
Yeah.
You know.
Why do you think? Because again, we didn't talk about this until, well, we talked about it before, but because you told me about falling down the stairs, and I'm sure you've had a couple of I think we all have. Anyone who's gone through an addiction has had several experiences.
Yeah.
Why was this the time, as opposed to any other? Why was this such a clear?
Do you know? I said it. The love of my daughters, and this will bring tears to my eyes. It was. I think because my actions could have killed us both, and knowing how much Jasmine loves her mother,
Yeah.
and what if something did go wrong, and I get to live and Louisa didn't, and thank fuck nothing happened. You know, she managed to get us home, right? But if something did go wrong, and I live and something happens to Louisa, and how do I live with my daughter?
Yeah.
You know, that moment, love, my daughter's love to her mother. When I woke up that Sunday morning, right, and I looked around me and I thought the three options was that, and that was a good enough reason for me to pick up that phone.
Yeah.
And that's what it's still with me, but it's, you know, but now it's become more about I want to be a better person now. You know, I've given myself a reason to turn up, walk through those doors, which was that, you know, that was it for me. That was it, because I just couldn't do it anymore, Tom. You know, I physically, you know, when I was driving home from Waltham Abbey to Leighton to my parents' house, right? There was a point where my whole body locked. I couldn't lift my feet up to hit the brakes. I couldn't steer, my whole body blocked, right? And I was having to lift my leg up to put it on the brakes. Like, I felt like I couldn't breathe. I got to my mum's house. I'm trying to put the key in the door, and it's taking me ages to put the key to open the door. And I phoned my mum, and I said to Mum, I said, stay on the phone, right? They're in Cyprus, right? I phoned them up. I said, FaceTime them. I said, Mum, I'm at home. I said, I don't know what's going on, but I could be dying right now.
Yeah.
If I fell on the floor, I said, phone the ambulance. Right. So I'm in my mum's kitchen. I've got the tap on. I've got my head in the water. I'm drinking water, and I'm thinking, because I've drank so much, Tom, unbelievable amount of alcohol. You know, to wake up Saturday and drunk, and you know, it was so much, and I was shit scared, man. I was so scared. I thought, this is me gone. Right, and yeah, I just when I woke up Sunday, it was time to make decisions.
Yeah.
And whatever decision I made was the one that I was going to stick with. And I'm glad I'm here today.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it could have gone the other way.
Yeah.
It could have gone the other way.
As it does for many people.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about, because I'm fascinated, because I never had this. I know a lot of people, you were talking about getting antidepressants, and I know a lot of people who are on them who have been addicts or haven't been addicts, and what sort of going through that was like, because I know you've been through a lot in the past 10 months. And what that sort of coming to terms with your emotions, what is that like? And going through the depression as well when you're not drinking and you hit that, and you're talking about like you get stomach pains as well. So what is it like getting through that?
Yeah, I think with stomach pains, I suffered with that. Is, you know, when I first stopped drinking, my body was like it was so fucked, right? And you know, stomach pains, and finally when the stomach pains went away, I thought, that's it. Because I remembered when I was giving up smoking weed and what I went through. So I thought, this is, you know, alcohol, clearly symptoms are different. So when my stomach pains started to get less and less and less, and eventually disappeared, I knew I was on the right track. And but you know, you see, people say, you know, depression can come and go. Yeah. Right? Yeah. It can come and go. Someone can turn the lights out on you just like that, and then you're in a place you don't even know how you got there sometimes, right? And you know, Louisa tried her again. Louisa's like, please go and see a doctor, get help, get help, get help, get help, get help. And you know, sometimes it's like, I don't know if I want to solve a problem with man-made drugs, right? And that was one of my biggest things. Sure. Right? I try to stay away from man-made drugs, and you know, I don't like taking them. I look at my parents' cupboard. It's fucking, when they pick up their tablets, it's fucking full of, it's like a Tesco shopping.
Why is that? Why is that a line in the sand for you? Why don't you want to?
Because it was like, so if I take this, let's say I take this depression tablet today, and then my body gets used to that, it starts not working, I've now got to upgrade to something else, that doesn't work, and then I've got to upgrade to something else, that doesn't work. It gets to the point, and then I take myself to a place, so what am I exactly taking? Yeah. You know? So for me, it was always going to be like, I'm going to challenge myself. I'm going to get over it. I'm going to do it without the drugs, prescriptions, and all that stuff, and get better, right? Because I feel that taking prescription drugs after drugs after drugs after drugs, and then before you know, your cupboard starts getting filled with fucking so many drugs, and then you have your tray of fucking Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday,
and you just got another thing now. You've got
another problem in your life, that you physically can't move without these in your life, right? And I'm thinking, I don't want to get to that point. You know, I want to get to a point where I can do things without the need of having to have drugs, without having the need of having an alcohol. Just wake up, have a cup of coffee, and get on with my day. And that's what, you know, I just didn't want that lifestyle, because I know you start from one, over the years it's going to add up. And before you know, you've got pot of 10 in Monday, pot of 10 in Tuesday. And I'm thinking, and that, I didn't want that. And I've never believed in man-made drugs, because you know, it solves the problem, but then it gets to a point that doesn't work anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what have I done now? It's like when I had my bad knee, right? I got this really strong painkillers given to me, right?
Right.
And I had to take a gastro tablet to line my stomach before I took the painkillers, right? They were that strong, right? Because I was in that much pain, right? And it was at the same time I got the depression tablets as well. Same day, when I went to see the doctor about my knee, I told him how I feel. I said, you know, it's like, you know, I think about things that I shouldn't be thinking about, I said to him. And I said, I don't want to. And then he says to me, look, I'll put you on this depression tablets, and they're low. I said to him, I don't want to do it for too long though. He goes, look, you've got to do it for 6 months for it to work, he says to me. And then how do I get off it? I said to him, if I want to get off it. And then he says to me, you know, you get off in stages. I said, how long would that take? He goes, well, it could take a couple of years. Yeah. Right? So I'm now thinking, I'm going to take a depression tablet, and then if I want to get off it, I've got to spend 2 years of coming down of it with other type of tablets. You know, I've got to take tablet to fix myself, and then I've got to take tablet to get off that tablet.
Just relying on something else.
So, and then the picture of my parents' house having fucking cupboard full of tablets, and I just felt like, no, I'm going to be stronger than this. I'm going to believe in myself, right? I'm going to turn to the universe and say I'm strong. And I'm going to do this, right? And that's what I did. I went home. I didn't take the depression tablets. They're still sealed, sitting in my office. The painkillers, I took 1 or 2. I didn't like the way it made my stomach feel, so I stopped taking them. And at the time, we was doing the flooring, so I had 51 square meters of herringbone flooring to do with a bad knee, right? And I'm thinking, I'm going to fight the pain with the pain, right? So I started doing the floor, right? I put my knee in the places, in shapes that I was so painful. By the time I finished the floor, my knee pain went. And I'm still waiting for a doctor to go and have an ultrasound scan, right? No fucking lie to you, Tom. I'm driving to you today, and I get a phone call from a Epping hospital from Epping somewhere, telling me that they have a cancellation. We know you've been on the waiting list for your ultrasound. Because we've got a cancellation for next week Friday, 2:30 or 4:30. Well, next week Friday, I'm getting ready for Hackney Depot event, right? So I'm thinking, all right, do you know, I'll take 2:30. Am I going to go? Probably not, right? But I've gone through all of that. Refused to take the tablet. I fight the pain with the pain. I finished the floor. I've got a happy wife at home. It looked gorgeous, right? And my knee pain's gone. And that's all without the fucking need of taking any tablets. So I'm a great believer in thing. If you believe in yourself, you can do it. You can do it. There's nothing can stop you. You got to want it, and you got to need it, and you can do it. Because at the end of the day, right? I mean, like, you can get depressed just by listening to the news. I've got friends, I
do it every day.
I've got friends, right? They still, one friend especially, right? He still, the only time he leaves his house is when he needs to go and do food shopping. Right. He's stuck in COVID days.
I know a lot of people who are like that.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I used to say during COVID, I became essential worker because of telecommunication. Right. I was in charge of getting a fibre optic cable to Nightingale Hospital. Right. We had people on the streets saying, 5G, you're going to kill us. And I'm thinking, at the time, we got to get this fibre optic cable to Nightingale Hospital in East London. I said, plug the machines in. So we're trying to save people. Right. Done all of that. It's never been used. Do you know what I mean? So again, during COVID, I had my house that we bought where I was doing the
what was that? I know a lot of people turn to drugs and alcohol during COVID. I certainly did. Yeah. What was that like?
So for me, so we bought a house and we were doing it up. I ripped it apart. We weren't living in it because it was unlivable. You walked in through the front door, you looked up, there was a massive hole in the ceiling, in the roof. Right, it wasn't livable. So it was perfect.
Spend all the time in the house.
I was in the house. I was.
So you wouldn't drink when you were at home?
I was. I had my cans.
You would. Yeah.
I had my cans. I was drinking. Sometimes I'll go to the house. You know, and I just sit there and drink and not do any work,
Yeah.
you know. But because I was an essential worker, I was out every day. Do you know what I mean?
It's better than most people.
And then I was living and then we were living at home with our parents because our house wasn't livable. So I got two parents in the house who's had their injections, right? And I'm saying to Louisa, I said, because she's a teacher, telling the teachers you've got to have your injection, otherwise you're going to lose your jobs.
Right.
I'm saying to Louisa, tell them you had your injections, but we are not having any fucking injections. I said, you know, there are diseases out there that's been out there for many, many years that they've not found the cure to. This COVID comes along, in 2 days they've got a fucking vaccination for it. I said, no, we're not taking that. So I make sure my kids didn't touch it. I make sure Louisa didn't touch it. But we're now living in a house with two parents who's been vaccinated. I'm an essential worker. I'm at the house all day, every day, coming home. And you know what? Nothing happened. Nothing happened to us. I didn't even get a flu during that time.
Was that a problem when your kids went back to school that they didn't have an injection? I needed to get them because I was traveling. I was living in different countries at the time.
Yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't have done it if I could go back now.
Even that, you know, forcing, for me, what threw me off even more was that you were getting forced to take this injection. If you don't take it, you can't get on the plane. If you don't do it, you know, I'm thinking, why are they making... Why are they so desperate? Yeah. Right?
Now loads of people have got sick from it.
Exactly. You know, why are they so desperate for you?
Yeah.
You know, someone's got to make money.
Yeah.
You know?
Made a lot of money.
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing, is what people talk about now is they say the reason the British economy's fucked is because of Brexit. It's not because of Brexit. No. I mean, partially, but it's mostly because of COVID and all the contracts they gave out to all their mates.
Yeah.
Hundreds of thousands, if not millions of pounds.
Billions and...
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so, you know, like, again, you know, going back, depression is that, you know, I try to stay away from news as well. Yeah. You know, I try to stay away because the way I see, my depression, I want it to be within my bubble. You know, external inputs. I don't want that to make me depressed because that's not fair on me. I want the depression to be within my bubble, my own problems to make me depressed.
So when you wake up, you're talking about sometimes you wake up and you just switched off.
Yeah.
What do you do? Do you have any practice or anything you've learnt, or is it different every time?
Yes, it is different. I mean, I can wake up and not be able to get out of it, and I will lay on the sofa and stare at my fucking brick wall for hours and hours and hours, and no drive, knowing that I got millions of things to do, just can't connect. I couldn't tap myself on the shoulder and say you're doing well. Yeah. And it was only you know, it's hard to explain when the light goes off and when the light goes on, because sometimes I think you know, light is on but it's on a dimmer. That's how I feel at the moment. Light it is on, but it's on a dimmer. Yeah,
low power mode.
Yeah, and that's how I feel right now. And you know, the other day, we're talking, and she says to me, she says, "You know what, Onur?" She says, "You get like at work, you know, the people I work with, she says, do you know how much they praise you for what you've done and what you achieved and what you're doing right now?" And I want to get excited about it. I want to feel that it's nice, but she says you need to give yourself a bit more credit. Look what you know. Look at us.
Yeah, 100%.
Look at us, what we have achieved. Look at us, what we're doing. And it's so hard because I'm dealing with addictions, because I'm dealing with myself, because I'm dealing with emotions, because everything else is real now. You know, I've got no solution for it now. Whereas before I'll drink on things. You know. That was my solution.
Just skip over it.
You know what I mean? Block it, pass over, job done. Whereas now I'm facing life straight coming at me. I'm struggling, and then you know I say, okay, well, you know, I don't want to, because before I'll get excited about, you know, I'll get excited about it, and I'll be down the pub fucking. No, I've got a reason to drink. You know, I've got an email. Fucking hell, they're gonna work with us. They want to work with us. Oh my god, nothing's happened. But that email, I'm down the pub fucking getting pissed. You know, goodness, badness. I didn't. You know, everything was a reason for me to go to the pub to drink. I remember one day we was in the pub drinking. I run out of money. Right, my mate was with me, so I said to him, "Drive me. Let's go home. Drive me to my house, quick." Right. I was in and out of that house in second with a £20 in my hand. I said, let's go to the pub that way. Do you know what I mean? So I gave myself, whatever, it didn't matter. I just anything was a reason to get down the pub.
Yeah.
But today, it's like I said, you know, it's lights are on, but it's on a dimmer. And reason why I don't want to get too excited about things, because I now want to achieve so much more. I want to do more. You know, I want to do more to achieve more. And that to me isn't just to do more to achieve more, to keep it all to myself. I want to be able to build something where I can, and where it can become a platform. You know, where love can grow. And that is probably one of my you know, that was one of my conversations in the pub, and being able to now being in a place where I can actually work towards achieving that. And if I achieve 20% of what I want to do in life, to someone else, that's 1,000,000%. Because, you know, I want more, and not because I want to have a big bank account, it's because I want to have a big family.
I think a big thing that I certainly struggle with is because I'm one of those people who is just always doing and always looking to achieve the next thing. But you already have done a lot. You've achieved a lot. You know what I mean? Like you were telling me, I think the first time I met you, about how passionate you were and what it was like to start Go East and build this community. And I think that's part of it. I think that's part of the thing, is like you haven't learned how to stop and appreciate all the people who are telling you you're doing a good job. And there's only so much you can take that on. But like stopping and being grateful, that's a really big thing that I've picked up over the last year or two, is like writing in the morning. I write 3 things that I'm grateful for. And it's not, it doesn't even need to be big things. It could be like having a coffee, or like if the sun's shining today, I'm grateful that the sun's shining, or I'm grateful that my partner finally made me breakfast for once, because I'm always the one making breakfast. And it's just little things, and it's kind of insane how much that changes. I think it's a big thing, is like recognizing it's very important, like, because you're always looking ahead, because there's always more to be done, and you say there's all these things you want to do, but you have already done so much. So that's a really big thing to go, look at where I was, and I had this big dream, and now it's a reality, and it doesn't always feel like the dream thought it was going to be. And like people go, look at all these things Onor's doing, but from your perspective, you're like, I got to get the fucking banners, I got to get everything ready. Was it winter? No, it was summer. You had to put up all the sheets because it was too hot inside. And it's just all these things that never stop. The list, you cross off 12 things and there's 15 more for some reason. You're like, this fucking list is never done. But you have done quite a lot already, and a lot of people are grateful for that. And you're just like, just be grateful and appreciate that. And I think that will help a lot. It's certainly helped me.
I think I'll be happy once you know, everyone has their own personal expectations of themselves. You know, and I think my expectation from myself, I raised the bar so high. Knowing that if I continue doing what I'm doing, I may just get there. Because I know because I'm sober. There's this smoke is clearing now. I can look in the mirror now and say I love you. Because, you know, back in the day, I remember this, like in the pub, right? We'll be drinking and we're having this fucking massive conversations, and I say to people, so when was the last time you looked in the mirror and saw yourself? Right? And
which was coming from you then.
This is coming from me then. You know? Fucking, I'm drinking. I had 10, 15 pints already, and I'm telling people, when was the last time you looked in the mirror and you saw yourself, right? And they look at me and I think, what the fuck are you talking about? Right? And now that I'm sober, I'm still saying that to people. Right? Because I'm now saying it to people and practicing it myself, because I now can put it together and come up with the answer, because back then I was so desperate to see myself in the mirror. So I thought, if I talk about it to people, if I tell them to do it, that would make me feel better, so that I don't have to do it, kind of thing, right? So now I will look in the mirror and I will say to the person that's staring back at me how much I love you. You know, and it's so important to people out there that's going through what we've gone through and still going through, that we do look into that mirror, we do see ourselves, and because we are someone today, we are someone right now, and that is so important for people out there. You have to look into that mirror and love yourself. Tell yourself I love you, because I speak to a lot of people today, and when I mention those words, oh, I can't do that. Oh, I can't do that. And I'm like, why can't you do it? Have you tried? you know. And I think if you do that, you'll move on to the next level because you just now challenge something that you thought that you could never do.
Yeah.
And a lot of us addicts and alcoholics and whatever or not have that issue, not being able to look in the mirror and seeing themselves. You know, like I spent years looking in the mirror and I didn't see myself. You know, it's only recently that I actually look in the mirror and say, I love you. I don't care if you've got fucking 10 broken teeth in your mouth. I don't care. You know, I can't wait till the day I get my mouth fixed. I can let me go back to smiling again because I'm hiding myself. I said to Louisa, one day I'm going to be one of those guys where they do puppet show and they talk and their lips don't move, you know, because top is fucked completely. But yeah, honestly, looking in the mirror and seeing yourself, it's so important, so important. And that's what I used to do when I was drinking, you know, I used to say things like that. And that's why I think for me now, where I sit with myself only and I have no substances in me that alters my mind and sit with myself, and my personal expectation from myself, I'll set my bar so high, as you know, as I said earlier, you know, I've gone 20 years ahead and I know what I want. Instead of working forwards, I'm working backwards.
Yeah.
And I want to achieve those things, and I will go back to funny I said to the college. I had an email the other day inviting the businesses to college, and they're talking about in the email it says, you know, how could you what input would you put into to make changes within the curriculum that would work for your business. I showed the email to Louisa. I said, Louisa, look, you're going to laugh. I said, I tried to do this with these fucking arseholes like 2 years ago, and they weren't interested. And now they're saying to people, inviting people to say, how can you make changes within the curriculum to benefit the future businesses for our students? Do you know what I mean? It's like, and these are things I will go back to, you know, because so I know we keep fucking jumping conversations here, but everything connects to each other. So when I was in the factories, just before I had kids, I used to work with a lot of young designers that just came out from fucking fashion college, and you know, and they walk through the door, and I'm like, you know, do you know how to use a machine? They're like, oh no, we don't know how to use a machine. Some will know how to use a machine, and they want to do this collection, and I'm saying, okay, well, you know, if you don't know how to use the machine, then how are you gonna figure out how you can play around with the fabrics, you know, and all that stuff? And then they'll come up with their sketchbooks and lovely pictures, and I said, do you know what it takes to make that? And maybe some things are not achievable. And then I say, what's your story? Have you got a story? Right. What's the story behind your collection? And they're like, what? I said, well, you can't write a fucking book without a fucking story behind it, can you? You don't watch a film on the TV and it has no story. So why would you do a 29-piece collection without a story?
Yeah.
You know? So, and my dad would say to me, son, he says to me, if anyone deserves, he says, you do. He says, you know. I said, Dad, you know, maybe one day I'll do my own collection. So before my kids were born, I did start something, and because in the factories, you know, we always did everything, but never recognised by anyone. You know, we never got credit for what we did. Sure. So it was like we was the unknowns, right? And, I wanted to come up with a label that presented that. So the label that I came up with is in French. It's inconnu, which means the unknown. And then my son was born, and I put his initial at the end, .r, so inconnu.r. And when you read inconnu.r, inconnu spells INCONNU, right? And then when you put the .r at the end, so my name spells ONUR. So you almost fit it perfect, right? So at my house in the garden, in the madness of the last year, I wrote on the wall inconnu, and Louisa says to me, why'd you make a mess on the wall? I said every time I walk in the garden, I said to her, I want to be reminded of that, because I want to go back to that, because I have got a story to tell, and my story is based on one man's war, you know, and the factory is my it's all my weapons, and I want to use this to tell my story. And then later on down the line, I'm thinking, well, that one man's war could be any one man's war, that we can tell a story together. And you'll have your, you know, so one day in life, there's loads of things, there's loads of things I want to go back to, but if I have to choose one of them, it will be to go back and complete that story.
Yeah.
Because that story will probably tell my life. And it's so important that one day I go back and finish that, and that's why it's written on the wall in fucking massive letters, uncanoe.r, and I want to go back to that because it is important, because it's every moment in your life talks about you, and you know, why did I become an alcoholic? You know, what, you know, my granddad, my mum's dad was an alcoholic, but I can't think of anyone else in the family that's an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Maybe it passed on him from me. I remember my dad tells us a story. I was about 5 years old. We're in Turkey. My mum's from Turkey, so we're in Turkey, and been to a friend's house, and we're on the bus coming back, and apparently I'm going, please Dad, one more. So the fuckers gave me a fucking beer, right? Got me a little pissed, right? I'm on the bus begging my dad, saying, please Dad, one more, one more. And I'm like 4 or 5 years old. So, you know, it's mental.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's like once you start unstitching something and it just keeps pulling.
Yeah.
And there's no end to it. So it's, you know, I want to find the end to it. You know, I want to be able to say, this is the where the chapter ends. You know, I'd love to write a book one day. You know, My Brain and I, because, you know, although I got you know, I've got kids that loves me. Every time I speak to my kids, it always ends with "I love you." I could speak to my kids a million times in 1 second and put the phone down. Each time it will go down with "I love you." I got a home, I got a mortgage, I got bills, I've got a business that's going somewhere. But in my head, I want conflict.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
In my head, that's not good enough. I'm not. That doesn't make me happy. I want more. I want to fuck it up somewhere. You know? And that's why we're different. And I think we should. You know, us addicts and alcoholics, we're lucky to have given a second chance in life. You know, most people go through life without that, and we're lucky to give ourselves that second chance to actually do something. And yeah, I can't wait. I don't wish my life away, but I can't wait for that day, you know, even if it's like, you know, with the walking sticks, 99 years old, walking down the fucking road, and yeah, I've done that. You know? I can't wait for that day to come in, you know?
Yeah. I'm excited to see what you've got in store. Excited to see what's coming up.
And it's all about, you know, connection and connecting with people. And I think greed is never been part of my life. I hate to work with people who are greedy. I think there's no need for greed, because you are just going to end up lonely. If you share, it's a better place, right?
Yeah.
So that's my mission, is to build and share. And Louisa, my partner, she's been a great support, and I think anyone that goes through this journey, I would say 2 things: make sure you're not alone, and make sure you are loved. Because if you're both of those at the same time, you're fucked. Because your loneliness will take you to places that you shouldn't be. Yeah. And without love, you know. Yeah. Even if you can't get a partner, like, get a pet. Yeah. You know.
Find someone at an AA meeting, or make that connection.
Yeah, NA, AA, CA, whatever it is. Yeah. Find someone that you connect with. Or that someone will find you. You know, and connect with. You know, love is important. Lonely, don't be fucking lonely, man. Because don't be lonely. Don't feel sorry for yourself, and make sure you've got love. Yeah. Those 3, so important. And that's what I did straight away. I wasn't going to be lonely anymore, because I always had someone on the phone that I could phone to. Coming home, talking to Louisa, this conversation, this whole podcast wouldn't make sense to her, and to normal people down the road. Yeah. So you can only speak to people who understands you, and when you have that ingredients all in one place, you have a half chance to coming out the other end. And it's important. It's important, and you gotta want it, man. You gotta want it. No good saying I want to win the lottery, but not play the lottery.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What chance you got of winning lottery if you don't play the lottery, but you want to win it?
Yeah. Yeah. So it love, connection, higher power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Find your higher power, whether it's the plant, whether it's the star in the sky that comes up on the left-hand side, whether it's God, whatever your high power is.
Yeah.
Find it, connect with it, and it's important. You know, for me, universe is a great place.
Yeah.
And yeah, love. Don't be lonely, and don't feel sorry for yourself.
Yeah. I think that's a good place to end it there.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you up to now? You're powering off, doing loads of different things. Yeah.
So we got the event on this weekend at Bermondsey, so I'm going down there now. I've got lamppost signs to put up. I've got a banner to put up. I've got to try and get into the building to have a look around what's going on. I've got to go back home. I've got to pick up food, beers. I've got so much. Do you know what? I'd rather have so much to do than have nothing to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And you've got good people and good things to be doing.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's been a great talking to you, Tom.
It's been great. Yeah.
I've done a lot of talking.
No, you've been sort of hinting at this story loads of times, so I'm excited to finally sit down and properly talk about it. And I think it's going to help a lot of people.
Yeah, and I think, at the end of the day, for those, most of the times your biggest enemy in your life is yourself. You are your own biggest enemy because we like to put blocks in places. No.
Yeah.
And I think past that barrier and see beyond that because the help is out there. Everything is out there. You just got to look at the right places and in the right people and go and do whatever it takes to be slightly better each day because, all we got is 24 hours. I don't know if I'm going to wake up in the morning.
Yeah, one day after the next.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah,
so 24 hours is all we got. Do everything in the day.
Yeah.
Action the actions. Whatever the action is for that day, do it before you put your head back on the pillow because we don't know if we're waking up tomorrow. Who is it? Did anyone give you a letter to and signed and dated promise that you're going to wake up every day?
Absolutely no one. No.
Nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody. As long as you do the right things today, you've got a good chance of waking up in the morning.
Yeah.
And let's leave it there.
Cool. All right. Thank you, mate. This has been good.
Yeah, definitely.
Cheers. Yeah.